The caveman who tried to control everything. Imagine a caveman standing beside a river. The river has flowed through the valley for thousands of years. It bends around the rocks. It nourishes the trees. It feeds the animals. It never rushes. It never hesitates. It simply flows. Now imagine that this caveman decides the river is wrong. He thinks it should move faster. He thinks it should go in a different direction. He thinks he knows better than nature itself. So he begins to fight the river. He piles stones into the water. He digs trenches. He spends day after day trying to force the current to obey him. At first, he feels powerful. He feels productive. He feels in control. But the river doesn't care. The river continues to flow. The caveman grows exhausted. And eventually he realizes something strange. The river was never his enemy. His need to control it was. This is the story of humanity. And it is the reason so many people are tired. Not because life is difficult. But because they are fighting things that were never meant to be controlled. The ancient Taoist sages understood this thousands of years ago. They called it Wu Wei. The art of not forcing. The art of letting life flow. And perhaps this ancient wisdom is more important today than ever before. Because modern humans have become masters of control. We monitor our calories. Track our sleep. Measure our productivity. Plan our careers. Schedule our relationships. Predict our futures. And despite all this control, we are more anxious than ever. Why? Because there is a hidden law of nature that most people never discover. The harder you try to control everything, the less control you actually have. The caveman eventually learned this lesson. But not before wasting years of his life. Every morning he would wake up before sunrise. He worried about the weather. He worried about the hunt. He worried about rival tribes. He worried about tomorrow. And because he worried so much about tomorrow, he never truly experienced today. One afternoon an old wanderer entered the valley. Unlike the other hunters, this old man carried no weapons. He carried no trophies. No animal skins. No symbols of status. Yet there was something different about him. He moved like water. Calm. Effortless. Unshaken. The anxious caveman asked him, "How do you stay so peaceful?" The old man smiled. Then pointed toward a tree. "Who taught that tree how to grow?" The caveman looked confused. "No one." "Exactly." The old man said, "It grows because growth is its nature." Then he pointed toward the river. "Who teaches the river where to flow?" "No one." "Then why do you think you must control every part of your life?" The caveman had no answer. Because deep down, he knew the old man was right. Many of us live exactly like that caveman. We treat life as a giant problem that needs solving. We believe happiness exists somewhere in the future. Just beyond the next achievement. The next promotion. The next relationship. The next victory. And so we spend our lives chasing outcomes. Always chasing. Never arriving. The Taoists saw this trap clearly. They observed that nature never forces. Yet everything gets done. Trees grow. Seasons change. Animals migrate. Stars move across the sky. Without anxiety. Without stress. Without endless planning. This doesn't mean doing nothing. It means doing what is necessary and letting go of what is not. The old wanderer explained it using hunting. When you throw a spear, you control the throw. You do not control the wind. You do not control the animal. You do not control the result. The moment the spear leaves your hand, your control ends. The caveman thought about this. His entire life had been built around controlling results. And every disappointment had come from demanding certainty from an uncertain world. This is why so many people suffer. Not because they fail, but because they expect guarantees. Yet life offers none. The old man shared another lesson. He picked up a dry branch. Then bent it. It snapped instantly. Next he picked up a young green branch. It bent easily, but did not break. Which one is stronger? Narrator, he asked. The caveman pointed at the green branch. The old man nodded. Then why do humans worship rigidity? People cling to identities, opinions, habits, plans. They refuse to adapt. They refuse to change. And then life breaks them. The Taoists understood that flexibility is strength. Water seems weak. Yet water carves mountains. A tree that bends survives storms. A rigid tree falls. The strongest people are rarely the hardest. They are the most adaptable. They move with change instead of resisting it. The caveman slowly began to understand. His suffering came from holding on. Holding on to expectations. Holding on to control. Holding on to outcomes. Holding on to fear. Then came the most difficult lesson of all. The lesson of desire. The old wanderer took him to the highest hill overlooking the valley. Below them stood the village. Everyone was competing. Competing for status. Competing for recognition. Competing for resources. Competing for power. Do you know why the tallest tree faces the strongest wind? The caveman shook his head. Because everything visible becomes a target. The old man continued. The more you own, the more you must protect. The more status you have, the more you fear losing it. The more power you gain, the more enemies appear. The caveman looked toward the chief's hut. The chief possessed the most. But he also worried the most. The old wanderer smiled. People think freedom comes from having more. But often freedom comes from needing less. That idea changed everything. Because the caveman realized most of his struggles came from excess. Not necessity. He didn't need more food. He needed less greed. He didn't need more praise. He needed less insecurity. He didn't need more control. He needed more trust. Slowly his life transformed. Not overnight. Nature never works that way. He stopped forcing friendships. He stopped forcing love. He stopped forcing success. He still worked. Still hunted. Still planned. But he no longer believed he could control every outcome. And something remarkable happened. Life became lighter. The same river still flowed. The same storms still came. The same uncertainties still existed. Yet his experience completely changed. Because he was no longer swimming against reality. He was moving with it. Years later, when the old wanderer had disappeared into the mountains, the caveman often sat beside the river alone. Watching the water flow. Listening to the wind. Feeling the sunlight on his skin. And he finally understood the lesson. Nature never hurries. Yet everything arrives. The river reaches the ocean. The tree reaches the sky. The seasons complete their cycle. Without force. Without panic. Without obsession. The world moves according to laws far older than human ambition. The moment we stop fighting those laws, we discover a different kind of power. Not the power of domination. Not the power of control. But the power of harmony. The power of letting go. And perhaps that is the greatest secret of all. Life was never asking you to control the river. It was only asking you to learn how to flow with it. Because the strongest person is not the one who conquers the world. The strongest person is the one who no longer needs to. And when that realization finally arrives, the struggle ends. The river keeps flowing. And for the first time, so do you.